you guys need to make sure you're creating an atmosphere around your brand, right? What do I mean by that? That's showing in like your brand and how you're presenting yourself to the public. And usually when you have some type of engine, aka your brand, that's what's driving engagement to the music, driving engagement to your streams, your merch, to your sales. In other words, that engine is all the things that's basically pulling new eyes or nurturing existing eyes, right? So that's like podcasts, YouTube videos, building out your Instagram profile, networking, doing collabs with other artists, people who share a similar vision or have a similar audience, intertwine with people who have a completely new audience, but you're trying to get into that. Put your name and your music in kind of like a bubble to where the music isn't the only thing that's pulling eyes or pulling attraction or pulling engagement. In other words, right? You want to be able to have different things in different places, seeds planted in different areas. That's all leading back to the one thing: your music, your sales, your merch, your streams, whatever you really want to focus on, right? But building that brand gives your music an engine. Your brand needs food, or not your brand, your music rather needs food. That food is what's going to keep it, is going to give it the energy it needs to survive in such a crowded market, such a crowded space. And it's going to give you a level of authenticity too. Because I feel like once you start digging into your brand, you start learning more things about yourself. And the deeper you know yourself is going to reflect in the music. It's going to reflect in things that you say, how you say it, the tempo that you do things at. Everything's going to be a direct representation of what's happening internally, right? So the moment you start digging into your brand, you start doing the podcast, you start doing the content, you start actually looking at yourself and what's actually influencing the creation of this art and putting that out there, you'll have an opportunity to see yourself. You have an opportunity to be like, oh, so that's why I have this perspective. It wasn't until I sat and had a conversation with somebody that I understood truly where a certain lyric came from, certain line came from, etc. I want you guys to look at this quote unquote content creation when it's really only marketing. I want you guys to look at it as like self-development, self-growth, right? You're simply pulling out pieces of you and showing it, right? And over time, you'll start to see what things you show the most of, what things you don't show a lot of. You'll start seeing where your energy naturally gravitates to as you start to unpack yourself. What do you like? Is it anime? Is it cartoons? Is it the beach? Is it your inspirations could be anything. Figure out what's truly inspiring you. And it doesn't always have to be something good. You can be inspired from negative things. Like if you grew up in, let's say, a dangerous neighborhood or something like that, you grew up in Los Angeles, that could be inspiration to make it into a positive. No, you could take a negative and turn it into a positive. But it's not until you acknowledge the negative that you had an opportunity to make it a positive, right? So all of this is just a big journey of self-acknowledgement and self-development. And once you implement that into your content strategies, into your marketing, into your music, into your writing, and into your day-to-day life, work on the inside so it can show outwards, you'll create an atmosphere that you didn't even know existed, right? That's like, I think Larry June does this Larry June actually does this very good, actually, where he has a persona of healthy living. He keeps saying I think it's orange juice or something like that. I think that's what it is. Oranges and stuff like that. He's made a persona around healthy living, keeping your mind right, going to the beach, driving fast cars at the beach on PCH, whatever the case may be. He's built a persona, right? So people who may be interested in the lifestyle aspect of it, or somebody who's kind of on the same page when it comes to self-development, eating right, healthy thinking patterns, etc., that may be the pull for that person to listen to their music. but you need it to show certain aspects of who you are in the marketing, but also the music, for it can so people can gravitate to you. Create an aura, build the aura around your brand, your music, and just your name, and you'll start pulling in the things that's like-minded. You always got to remember too, there's like what, like 3-4 billion people, I could be wrong, on this planet. You're telling me that even 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 people doesn't share the same interests or may not like something that you like, right? It can be something so mundane like Pokemon. You're telling me there isn't 1,000 more people who would like a song about Pokemon and be your die-hard supporters? You get what I'm saying? It can literally be about anything on this planet, but you have to be able to articulate yourself in a way where they can understand you. So when like-minded people hear it, they understand that they don't have to question it. They're like, oh, I actually rock with this. This is speaking to me because it's speaking to my lifestyle. It's speaking to my spirit. It's speaking to my mindset. And that's what's inevitably going to build a lot more, I don't want to say fans, but supporters, people who truly ride for you because they understand you. And then that ties into this next thing, artist censoring, right? A lot of us are subconsciously holding back our truth, right? Because when you start being true to yourself, that comes with a level of vulnerability, which also opens you up to criticism, good and bad. And we have this very, sensitive space, or this sensitive culture right now, where people are afraid of saying the things that's truest to them because they don't want to be perceived a certain way. They don't want to be exited out of opportunities. They don't want to rub people wrong. They don't want to be gate kept, whatever the case may be, right? But in the process of you silencing yourself or not opening yourself to those deep levels of vulnerability so you can articulate yourself right, you won't reach your pinnacle, of true artistry, because you've never got to the point where you can articulate yourself truly and freely. An artist operating from a free and a true spirit is always going to be more potent because there's no constrictions or no boundaries on what's happening inside of that art. Once you can pull your truth, be honest, pull the depths of who you are and how you see things and articulate it, that's going to be what gives you guys that extra pull. Really realize a lot of people who quote unquote got canceled for speaking their truth never really got canceled. It was just a trend. Getting canceled is a trend. You can never get canceled for speaking your truth. I really want you guys to understand that, because with anything that's true, there's going to be people who agree and there's going to be people who disagree. That doesn't change the fact that it's true. So I want you guys to start uncensoring yourself and speaking from the true depths of your experience and your spirit. Like I said in the other video, the power of being yourself. You guys have to understand who you are holds power. There's knowledge and wisdom within all of us, but it's not until you have the courage and the integrity to actually say it and stand on the things that you know to be true will you be able to see how normal you actually are. How many people actually agree, may have gone through the same things, may have, have the same principles, the same perspective. But it wasn't until you spoke up, it wasn't until you said it, and that you got that assistance from God, the universe, supporters, however you want to facilitate that equation, right? Focus on being true to yourself and speaking your truth. Really love yourself and let whoever it rubs wrong, and let whoever it's meant to touch. Because it's crazy too, when you're talking about art, sometimes you can be touching somebody who was meant to get touched by that art, but you had no control over the reaction to how that art triggered them. You could trigger them in a negative way, but it was on purpose so that person could grow, right? So you didn't actually do anything wrong in the process of triggering that person. You showed that person them. Or on the other equation, by you speaking your truth, you allow somebody to see that that's a reality, that is true, and that they're normal. Like, hey, I'm not the only person who thinks like this. I'm not the only person who operates like this. And this makes me feel included. This gives me a sense of comfort. So now I'm gravitating to you even more as a person and as an artist because I feel comfortable with you. That is very important. You never know what happens when you just simply speak up. Speak your truth and not don't be afraid of what happens afterwards. As long as it's true and you know you weren't operating from no place of like envy and jealousy and all this other type of stuff, you are truthfully speaking from a place of love deep within your truth. You'll be alright. I promise. We have to start practicing stillness during high stress situations, right? I have this saying, burn it down, burn the house down so you can build it back up. And in the process of you burning down the house, it's easy for you to panic because you're being triggered. You know, your attachment styles are being triggered. You know, old memories, old traumas, a lot of things are being triggered by you simply just burning down the old house. And you know, it starts fear. You know, oh my God, I don't have a house anymore, it's burning. So we have this tendency to try putting out fires that were meant to be there. And once you start to detach, you start to find a sense of stillness within your internal and your external. Your vision starts to come back. You know, you start remembering why the house was burning down in the first place, and you start to sit and you allow it to unfold. And in that unfolding process, it makes room for the new architecture. It makes room for the new house, for the new developments. But it wasn't until you got to the foundation of it that you were able to get the signs, you were able to get the wisdom, you were able to get the advice. So whenever you're going through a moment where it just feels like reality is on you very heavy and your mind state and it's just things just aren't going your way, be still. Don't quit. Don't do anything. Sit in that adversity and you're going to start hearing the different things that comes to you. You're going to start having like epiphanies. You're going to start hearing, like it's a very spiritual thing when you sit, because thoughts start to come to you. You're watching your thoughts. It's like a sense of meditation. And when they come, it's like silent whispers. Go do this. Try this. Look at this. Listen in those moments of stillness. And God will send confirmation when you acknowledge the sign. If you heard something in that stillness, if you see something in that stillness, acknowledge it. And in the next few moments, you will see a sign somewhere in your immediate reality, whether it's somebody calling you, whether it's somebody reaching out, somebody liking something, somebody walking past, a license plate. You will get the immediate confirmation in your immediate reality to act on it in your physical. So when you have those moments where it feels like everything's burning down around you, be still and let it burn, because it's probably burning for a reason. And then once you can see what's actually happening from a bird's eye view, you have the power to move forward. But if you just sit and worry, stress yourself out about something that was going to happen inevitably based upon your decision making, you're going to hurt yourself unnecessarily. So, I love y'all. Keep being artists. Keep rapping. Keep dancing. Keep doing whatever the case may be. And love yourself, because I love y'all.